The US says it will provide Ukraine with more Patriot missiles as part of a fresh $6 billion aid package. But they won't be supplying any additional Patriot systems to launch them, despite Kyiv insisting that they need more to defend Ukraine's cities from Russian aerial attacks. The US Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin made the announcement, which also included a pledge to rush more artillery munitions to the country on Friday.
I would point out that it's not just Patriot that they need. They need other types of systems and interceptors as well. And so I would caution us all in terms of making Patriot the silver bullet. I would say that it's gonna be the integrated air and missile defense, as we said so many times before, that really turns the tide. And so there are other capabilities that they need that we really pushed hard to get, and we may be able to get to the Ukrainians a bit faster. But this work continues on.
For more analysis, let's bring in Frank Ledwidge now. He's a senior lecturer in military strategy at Portsmouth University and a former UK military intelligence officer. Good to see you again, Frank. Now, the US is sending a $6 billion aid package to Ukraine. As we just heard, it includes ammunition and air defence systems. Tell us, what difference do you think this will make on the battlefield?
Morning, Jared. Well, in the words of General Austin there, it won't turn the tide. What it will do is blunt Russian advances in two ways. The first way, obviously, is by reinforcing Ukraine's vital artillery arm with Western-supplied 155 shells. That's important. They've been outgunned severely on the front for a long time now. Concerning air defences, though, that's almost equally important. And it is disappointing that the Americans have not forwarded more Patriot batteries. They have 80 batteries in their inventory, 400 launchers. I suspect the problem is that they are wanting to keep those against any conflict with China. It's bad news for Ukrainians, that, but to the extent that they're getting more interceptors, the missiles themselves, and I think as we go forward, more in the form of other systems that General Austin mentioned, that will allow the Ukrainians to push back the Russian air advances that have been made. The Ukrainian lines have been suffering very badly under what's called under glide bombs, thousands of them, some people say, which have been, I think it's fair to say, decisive over the last few weeks. However, what none of this will do, and this is really important, is generate more manpower. Ukraine has been taking far more casualties than they've been telling us. They are under serious pressure on the attritional front. And let's not forget, this is a war of attrition. And in the manpower front, the Russians have the advantage. And there's nothing the West can do about generating more of that. That's a very big topic, but it's absolutely central.
Frank, speaking of this pressure that you just talked about, Kyiv says Russia has attacked energy facilities in 3 regions on Saturday, part of a renewed bombardment of Ukraine's energy sector. What's the strategic purpose of these attacks, do you think?
Well, they've been conducting, as you say, strategic attacks, which is to say attacks essentially across the Ukrainian economy and indeed into the civilian sector since late 2022, with the objective first of undermining the morale of the Ukrainian population and secondly disabling the Ukrainian economy. I think equally so, and that's had some effect, especially over the last few weeks. It's worth saying, however, that Ukraine is really resilient with respect to its electrical supplies. And let's not forget that much of its supply is supplied by nuclear power, which the Russians are highly unlikely to touch. Nonetheless, it's doing damage. Of almost equal importance, however, is the approach the Russians are taking now in attacking Ukraine's railway network. And that's something I think that many of us have been wondering when that was going to happen. It seems to be happening with far more intensity now. And that's really important. And accentuates again, of course, the vital importance of high-end, highly effective air defence systems.
Frank, given everything you've just said, what do you think what we can expect the war to, how it will progress in the coming weeks?
I think Russia will continue to make advances over the next few weeks. It's worth saying that very few of these supplies, although the Americans are working and other allies are working very, very effectively and efficiently to try and forward these supplies, the bulk of them won't arrive over the next few weeks. And Russia will undoubtedly take advantage of that hiatus. I think the Ukrainians are expecting an offensive at some point in the next few weeks as well, to continue and reinforce the advances they've made. So we can expect that. I think beyond there, we're looking at political decisions. But for the next few weeks, we can expect continued Russian pressure, perhaps a rather larger offensive campaign by them. I expect the Ukrainians to largely to hold, but they will have to give territory, I think.
OK, military analyst Frank Ledwidge there. Frank, always good to talk to you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jared.